The Spanish government says the country is safe to visit despite a surge in coronavirus cases. The statement comes after the UK reimposed a quarantine on travellers returning from Spain. With a cluster of new outbreaks in Barcelona, residents there fear tighter restrictions.
It's not much of a lockdown. Barcelona's regional government recommends that people only leave their homes if it's urgent, but few people are paying heed. Is having a drink an urgent enough reason to go out? Alex Vaje works at one of Barcelona's many beach bars. He sympathizes with the young people of the city who are tired of staying home after weeks of lockdown.
You are losing your life, the friends, the community. It's very important for every people, young people and old people, because here in Europe and especially in Barcelona, the life is very open, it's very active, and the people don't used to stay in our house.
Just across the road from the beach is one of Barcelona's biggest hospitals. Dozens of coronavirus patients have been admitted the past few days. Dr. Juana Flores is worried when she looks at the crowded beach just a few meters away. Medical authorities have plans in place should the situation worsen.
The scenario goes from just not changing the regular day of the hospital and to the worst scenario, which will be when we have to stop all the activity that is not urgent in order for all the professionals to assist COVID patients, which is what happened at the end of March.
Another area of concern is staffing public health facilities. Around 1,000 extra staff are needed in the region to accurately track chains of infection. Right now, David Fernandez and his 20 colleagues are responsible for more than 1 million residents.
We are not enough people to do the contact tracing properly. Not only the contact tracing, that more or less we can just know the contacts of the person the case that is confirmed, but also to do a proper monitoring of the cases and to see if this outbreak, even though it's small, if it's expanding.
Despite repeated promises from the Catalan regional government that more people will be hired to work in public health, not much has happened. Yet experts agree that tracing contacts is crucial for slowing the spread of the virus, especially with young people who may have no symptoms.
Just a few weeks ago, Barcelona's regional authorities heavily criticized the poor crisis management in the capital, Madrid. Now, they find themselves in the center of attention, and more critics say that the crisis management here is anything but ideal.
Barkeeper Alex Vaje and others in the industry have one major worry: that infection rates will rise so much that the region will have to be placed under total lockdown again. That could mean not just the end of this year's summer season, but the closure of their business for good.
And here's a look at some of the other developments in the coronavirus pandemic. The overall number of confirmed cases worldwide topped 16 million at the weekend. That's according to figures from Johns Hopkins University. Vietnam is evacuating 80,000 tourists from the central city of Da Nang after 4 people tested positive. They are the first new infections in the country in 99 days. China has recorded its highest daily rise since April, with 57 locally transmitted cases, and Hong Kong saw another 261 cases over the weekend. And in the Austrian lakeside resort of St. Wolfgang, a new cluster of more than 50 infections among young workers in the tourism sector is causing concern. Now, COVID-19 has stranded people in holiday resorts and on business trips. And a travel shutdown has also left some international students high and dry. Here's the story of 2 of them who happened to be on Germany's remotest North Sea island after their options ran out.
Trapped on an island. They've been trying to leave Heligoland for weeks, but travelling to India and Kenya during the pandemic is proving difficult.
I feel a little sad that I cannot be home yet, as it's been quite some time that I've seen my family and I've been in India.
The marine biology students are here on a scholarship programme with the Alfred Wegener Institute for Polar and Marine Research. Gabriel Akoko's field of interest is climate change. He wants to know how marine plants remove excess CO2 from the atmosphere. He's been in Germany for nearly a year. He keeps in touch with his family on Skype. Gabriel's flight to Kenya has been cancelled 3 times.
Yeah, I was hoping to travel back and maybe meet you people, and it will depend on how corona situations develop and how things are in Kenya. For the time being, I'm carrying on with my research activity, still at the institute, and we hope that when the flights get back, then I'm able to travel.
Andriga can relate. She'll keep on learning from the experienced team while she waits to return to India. The longer she stays on the island, the more she thinks about home. Darjeeling in northeast India.
I am very worried when I think about India in this situation. My hometown has been put back under lockdown completely because the cases rose so fast and so high, and there weren't any more facilities available in the hospitals to accommodate the people. It's just scary.
At least they have company. 6 more students at the institute are also stuck on the island. Of course, everyone wants their child to come home, but due to the current coronavirus situation in many countries, some of our students' families are happy for every day they are able to spend here. An oasis on the open sea. There are worse places to be trapped. But for the students, there's still no place like home.
Thousands of Venezuelan migrants who had sought a better life in neighboring Colombia are being forced to leave because of the coronavirus pandemic. As Colombia shut down its economy, many Venezuelans living there lost their jobs. In this next report, we meet unemployed Venezuelans trying to return home.
Hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans are leaving Colombia and returning home. Here they live in makeshift camps on a street in Bucaramanga. They have 185 kilometers to go. Adrian Francisco Yepes built his shelter out of plastic sheets. He used to work in a mine north of Bogota, but lost his job after injuring his leg in an accident. Then the coronavirus pandemic made it impossible for him to find a new job. I had to stop working, so I couldn't pay the rent anymore and had to leave the house where I was living. I had to come here. I had nowhere else to go. Back in Venezuela, Adrian had a small vegetable shop. It went bankrupt because of the economic crisis. Now he has no prospects in either country, but he still believes he can make a fresh start. I want to go back home to my family. I hope that a doctor will treat me there and that I'll finally find a real job again. 1.8 million Venezuelans moved to Colombia because of the economic crisis. 80,000 of them have returned to Venezuela since the pandemic began. The border crossing at Cúcuta was once a place of hope for many. Now there are crowds of disillusioned returnees. Due to the pandemic, the Venezuelan government of Nicolas Maduro allows just a few hundred citizens to enter the country each week. The coronavirus spreads easily in these improvised camps, so the Colombian government is advising against returning to Venezuela. In these difficult times, they should try to stay in Colombia until the pandemic situation improves, until we learn to live with it. After weeks of waiting in the border camps, many Venezuelans have given up all hope of returning home. They're turning back and want to stay in Colombia, but they don't have the prospect of a better life in either country. After weeks of waiting at the border, Joana Munoz has had enough. So she decided to return to Bogota. I tell the other immigrants, don't go to Cúcuta. It takes 30 days or longer. You have to get your own food, and your children will be alone and unprotected. Adrian Francisco Yepes has made it to the border. He was able to travel the last leg of the route by bus. He might cross the border today. His time in Colombia has left him disillusioned. The only thing I'm taking out of here is a broken leg. All I want now is to get back home to my family. And I want this whole situation with the virus to be over. No matter what Adrian expects to happen after he crosses the border, his biggest wish will come true. He will be heading home again.